Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach B.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very last special edition of the Leadership and Success Podcast, Ancient Wisdom and Leadership Lesson from the Book of Proverbs. So we've done this for 31 days straight. Every day we've gone through a chapter of the Book of Proverbs. Today we're going to do Proverb chapter 31, which is the last chapter of the Book of Proverbs. So this is going to be quite an occasion. I'd like to get your feedback for those who've been following along. What is some of the greatest lessons you've learned throughout this special edition, and also the 7 lessons I will be sharing today on Proverbs 31. Which one are your top 3, or at least the top 3 to 5 insights? So before we get started, we do our moment of gratitude. We always want to take a moment to just be grateful every time we meet. And today, I think I am really grateful for the power of technology, right? I am here in Silicon Valley, and back in the days, in order for you to even speak to people within your town or your city, you had to get like on the radio or TV. But today, it doesn't matter. You can just use a little phone, and you can broadcast all around the world. It is really amazing, and I think it's definitely bringing us closer together. So I'm grateful for technology. So let me know where you are joining us from, what city, what state, and also what you are grateful for today. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to ask Ron Carpenter AI, which we interviewed for season 4. Right, I believe it was episode 15 last year. So Ron Carpenter AI is going to give us a breakdown for every single chapter from chapter 1 through chapter 31. And I'm going to come back right after that, and we're going to start with Proverbs chapter 31, which is going to be our final lesson for this journey we've been on. Again, not a religious study, but it's about ancient wisdom and leadership lesson from the book of Proverbs. Today, we're doing the last chapter, Proverbs chapter 31, the grand finale. So it's about, again, ancient wisdom and being mentored from a book written more than 2,000 years ago, but I believe those principles are still relevant today. All right, let's listen to Ron Carpenter AI for about 10 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Pastor Ron Carpenter. How can I help? All right, listen closely. Proverbs chapter 1 is all about the beginning of wisdom, and that start is the fear of the Lord. It's about getting wisdom, getting instruction, the spirit of wisdom and revelation so you can see life clearly and make choices that don't mess you up. The whole thing points to the fact that wisdom isn't just a heart posture, a way of living that sets you apart. That's the big idea right there. Chapter 2 picks up from that foundation in chapter 1 and digs into why wisdom is like your best friend, your protector. It shows how wisdom saves you from the fools and the You see, it's about hearing God's voice early, before trouble hits, so you can live long, peaceful days. The fear of the Lord keeps you safe and gives you avoid all kinds of foolishness. That's the big deal there. All right, chapter 3 is like wisdom's personal invitation. It tells us to trust the Lord with all our heart and not our own understanding. Come on, that's powerful. When you do that, He'll make your path straight, guiding you through life with success and peace. It's about leaning in, not just knowing God's favor daily. That's a dang good life lesson right there. All right, chapter 4 is like the pep talk from your wise, loving dad telling you to grab hold of wisdom and never about guarding your heart because everything you do flows from it and you got to stay clear of folly that leads to destruction. It's a strong companion and your priority, period. That's the heart of it. All right, chapter 5 is a warning about the dangers of temptation, especially the seductive traps that can wreck your life and your future. It's got about staying faithful and wise, not falling for foolish shortcuts or lies that seem sweet and bitter. The message is your eyes locked on what's righteous and don't let yourself get fooled. That's the big point right there. All right, Proverbs chapter 6 is packed with tough love. It warns about foolish promises, laziness, and how God hates those among brothers. But the star of the show is that little ant. Man, that ant shows us what diligence and foresight look like, working steady and preparing ahead. That's the kind of wisdom God wants us to get, practical, real, and hard-earned. All right, chapter 7 is like this desperate shout from wisdom warning you about getting caught up in temptation, especially that sneaky kind that looks good but wrecks. Wisdom screaming for you to wake up, guard your heart, and choose the right way before it's too late. That's the big idea right there. Third is wisdom personified like a woman calling out in the streets, inviting folks to live life the right way. It's about how wisdom was with God before creation, showing wisdom is divine order and foundation for everything. The big idea, listen to wisdom's call and you'll walk in safety and honor. Chapter 9, I'm knocking on the door, y'all. It's calling us to come on in, choose life, and leave the life of fools behind. Wisdom of blessing and safety if we listen. It's an invitation, plain and simple. All right now, chapter 10 is like a packed toolbox of wisdom. Short, punchy saying, wise choices make life better and foolish ones mess it up. It covers everything from how your words can heal or hurt to hard work versus lazy and integrity. Bottom line, every choice matters, and your life reflects what you plant with your decisions. Chapter 11 is all about the contrast between righteousness and wickedness showing up in blessings and consequences. It's like a mirror. You can see how being honest and while deceit and pride lead to trouble. That's the heart of it. All right, chapter 12 gets into how your choices about speech, work, and integrity shape your life. It shows that a righteous person's will bring life, but fools just shoot off their mouths and cause trouble. It's a reminder that wisdom shows up in everyday actions and habits, not just fancy theory. All right, chapter 13 is discipline bring life and blessings, while foolishness brings destruction. It reminds us that what we say and do shapes our future, so choosing the path is big time. It's like planting a garden. You reap what you sow, no doubt. All right, after chapter 14 in Proverbs, you keep seeing that pattern. Brings life and blessings, but foolishness brings trouble. The chapters that follow keep hammering home practical guidance on how your choices, your words, and your heart posture set you up or pain. It's like every chapter layers on that reality until it sticks. That's the big picture as you move past 14. Okay, Proverbs 15 is all about how your words show your heart and how the wise handle correction with calm and peace while fools stir up trouble. It's reminding us that a gentle answer can diffuse conflict and that fear of the Lord leads to life. That's the heart of chapter 15. Chapter 16 is all about trusting God. Let me tell you, that's some of the hardest stuff to do. It reminds us that our steps are ordered by the Lord, but we still make choices, and those choices help. So the takeaway, lean on God, but remember your decisions count too. Chapter 8 is down to tough times. It points out how peace is the arguing and how wisdom helps you navigate those rough spots instead of making them worse. That's the big picture for chapter 17. All right, chapter 18 is power of words can build up or break down and how wisdom shows up in how you talk and handle yourself. It reminds us that offense can be like a strong city wall. Hard to mend relationships once that hurt sets in. So watch your tongue and guard your heart. That's the big picture. All right, chapter 19 spots the difference between wise and foolish, especially around honesty and patience. It shows how good choices build a strong, steady life and bad ones bring hardship. That balance between cause and effect is the real takeaway. Chapter 20 brings us back to the impact of words and actions, how a wise person builds life with careful speech and good work, stir chaos with their mouth and laziness. It's really about everyday choices shaping your future, no matter how small they seem. That's how it hits. Our puts the spotlight on the heart and how what's inside drives every action. It reminds us that God looks at your heart's intent more than your outward show, and so keep that heart right and let God steer your course. That's the bottom line here. All right, chapter 22 brings a mix of wise sayings about reputation, humility, and raising kids, right? It carry weight, discipline is love in action, and who you hang with shapes who you become. That chapter's like a handbook for building a life that lasts. Chapter 23 is all about guarding your heart. Integrity shine here. It warns against chasing foolishness like getting drunk or chasing after wealth that slips away. The big idea is choosing what builds you. Chapter 24 is like your blueprint for building a life that lasts, showing how wisdom helps you lay a strong foundation in relationships and character, and how patience and planning keep terms. It's reminding you to commit to the long game, not just quick fixes. Hey, glad you asked about chapter 25. It's kind of like this collection of wise sayings that focus on humility, patience, and the power of self-control. How holding your tongue can keep you out of trouble, and how keeping a wins more than quick anger. It reminds me that sometimes the best strength is quiet strength, you know? Chapter 26 calls out the stubborn and lazy, which, come on, it's like a reality check. Being reckless with your mouth or avoiding responsibility just digs your own hole deeper. That chapter's straight up no nonsense about messing up your life. Chapter 28 is like a spotlight on leadership and character, how honesty and humility lift you up. Pride, wickedness bring downfall. It's a call to choose wisely because the way you live shows up in what follows. Chapter 29 lays it down about how either build you up or tear you down. It shows how a person who stays humble and keeps control over their spirit walks in wisdom. Temper bring chaos. It's a powerful call to watch the heart because that's where life flows from. Hey guys, it's Proverbs 30, a chest of wisdom where a guy named Agur lays out lessons about humility, the limits of human understanding and the importance of depending on God. He points to small badgers, locusts, spiders as models of wisdom, showing how even the little things work God's plan perfectly. It's about recognizing your place, trusting God, learning from God's creation. That's the big picture right there. All right, Proverbs 30, wrap-up spotlight on a woman of strength, showing dignity, hard work, and kindness all wrapped up in God-fearing wisdom. It's a call to live honorable and character that blesses family and community. That chapter shows how godly wisdom plays out in everyday life. All right, listen up. The Book of Proverbs from chapters 1 through 31 guide showing us how to live wisely by getting our hearts right with God first, because everything starts there. That fear of the Lord is the beginning. It teaches us how to speak, how to lead, how to make decisions that build life and community instead of tearing it down. The leadership take matters more than charisma or speed. Humility, patience, integrity, and wisdom are what make a leader truly effective. Whether it's ancient time 5, it's about being consistent under pressure, living truth, and serving others with a humble heart. That's the real deal, friend. Listen, that's the million-dollar question, right? Scripture like Proverbs, even though it was penned over 2,000 years ago, is that it gets down to the heart. The human condition, the choices we make, the way wisdom works in any age, change as much as we think. The struggles with pride, fear, patience, and faith are just as real now as then. God's wisdom is timeless, and that's what 25.
All right, so that was a great summary from Ron Carpenter AI from Proverbs chapter 1 all the way through chapter 31. Again, it's really amazing how things change, but really they don't change. There is really nothing new under the sun. That what was true 2,000 years ago is still true today. So we're going to start then with Proverbs chapter 31. let me start with the big idea. And while I'm speaking again, please let me know where you are joining from, what city, what state, and which country, if outside of the US, and also what you're grateful for, and also your insight on the book of Proverbs so far, from chapter 1 through chapter 31, which we are going to cover. And we're going to end this special edition of the Leadership and Success podcast. So, what's the big idea about Proverbs chapter 31? This chapter presents a full spectrum portrait of leadership excellence. Right? It opens with a mother coaching a future king on restraint, justice, and responsibility, and concludes with a celebrated description of a virtuous leader whose influence blesses family, community, and future generation. That's legacy. All right. So this chapter teaches that true leadership is not defined by your position or your gender. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, black or white, but by character. Right. Reminds me of what MLK said. Right. It's about not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. That's really what truly defines a man, the measure of a man. Something else that Sidney Poitier said, right? The measure of a man, your character, discipline, service, and stewardship. So, Proverbs chapter 31 reminds us that leadership credibility is built quietly, consistently, and courageously, long before applause ever come. It's really about legacy. So, the big theme here is leadership that serves, strength that builds, and character that endure. All right, leadership lesson number 1. We're going to be talking about the power requires restraint. Power requires restraint. Verses 1 through 3. First, we have a note from Mishra. She says, fantastic initiative. Taking this conversation live makes it even more impactful. Love how you extended thought leadership beyond LinkedIn to a wide audience. This discussion on leadership, risk, and resilience are truly needed right now. Thank you so much. I appreciate the consistency and service-driven approach you bring to the community. Looking forward to tuning in and learning from the session. Thank you so much. And somebody else says, Grace watching from Maryland, USA. Let me see if I can find out who that is. Sometimes I don't get the names here, but LinkedIn. Okay, it looks like. Hold on a second. That's okay. I'm trying to see on my phone. Let me put it by most recent. Okay, it looks like Grace. Grace is one saying, okay, she's Grace. She's watching from Maryland. Thank you so much, Grace, and thank you for coming back. Again, this is the grand finale for this entire special edition. I'd like to hear from you what you've learned so far, or some of the insights you've had throughout this special edition of the podcast. So, we're going to start with leadership lesson number 1 for Proverbs chapter 31. So again, power requires restraint. Okay, just because you are strong doesn't mean that you have to be boastful or show your strength. Actually, because you are strong, you are not going to use your strength. You're going to show restraint. That's really what makes you very, very strong. We said that a couple of lessons ago when we talked about the lion, right? In Africa, we say the lion is the king of the jungle. But the lion doesn't go around just roaring, oh, I am powerful, I am the lion, be afraid. No, the lion just knows who he is and he just walks in that way. All right. And it looks like we're going to have a very special guest here in about 15 minutes or so. And I'm very, very excited about that. So let's listen to verses 1, 2, and 3. Again, power requires restraint. Just because you are powerful doesn't mean that you need to use that power. All right. Let's listen to that.
The words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him.
What, my son? And what, son of my womb? And what, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings.
Do not give your strength. You are strong enough. You do not have to prove it. Show some restraint, right? Because leadership authority is fragile when desire goes unmanaged. So before a king is warned about policy or warfare, he is warned about self-control. That's really one theme that goes through the entire chapters of Proverbs, self-control. If you cannot control yourself, you cannot lead others. Because personal compromise is often the first crack in public leadership. And as a leader, really everything you do is public. Even when you think nobody is watching, somebody is watching, always. Somebody is watching. Okay, leadership that serves. And I believe that is Grace again. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the insight here is you have to guard your time, your energy, your emotion, and your integrity. Most importantly, your integrity, your character. It's the most important thing you have. Because if you lose your reputation, you don't have anything. Okay? Leaders who fail privately, they will eventually fall publicly as well. It's only a matter of time. And that's another reason why I really love reading biographies, books from people who've lived long before I was here, read through their experiences, what they did right, what they did wrong, how they achieved great success, but also how they failed and how they dealt with their own impulses and failure and addiction or temptation, because that's how I learn what to do, what not to do. Okay. So where are you leaking energy right now that weakens your leadership? And what habits strengthen or drain your moral authority? So, great leaders master themselves before attempting to lead others. I think leadership is really an interpersonal work. It's really about you. Know thyself, your strengths, your weaknesses, know who you are, and then really building on those strengths and building a culture, building an atmosphere around you that is going to make it easier for you to do the right thing without having to use your willpower or having to face temptation. It's really something that you can do. Earlier, I mentioned, for example, one point I'm trying to lose weight, but I have maybe junk food around the house. Well, one thing I need to do is clean up my cupboard, right? Get rid of any food I shouldn't be eating. This way, when I get hungry, I don't have a choice but eat something that is healthy. That's me mastering my environment, right? My atmosphere is my business. Make it easy for me to do the right thing. This way, I won't get tempted. I don't have to use willpower or energy to do that. I can just focus on my mission or my goals. Okay, leadership lesson number 2. Clarity must precede authority. So we're going to read verses 4 and 5. Clarity must precede authority.
It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the justice of all the afflicted.
Clarity. Clarity must precede authority. Decision-making demands clarity. Leaders who dull their discernment through excesses, whether it's wine, food, or whatever it might be, distractions, or escapism, they endanger those they serve. So how do we apply this? You have to protect your mental sharpness. Avoid anything that compromises your judgment when others depend on you. That's what leadership is all about. You take care of you so you can take care of everybody else. What clouds your clarity when decisions matter most? No, it might not be drinking for you. It might not be smoking or whatever it might be. What is it? You need to work on that because you have to be a better person. Really, in leadership, in my opinion, you don't really compete against everybody else. You compete against yourself, the person in the mirror. You compete against the person you were yesterday, trying to get better 1% every day. Also, if you get a chance, I think I still have a picture here. Listen to Alison Walsh. I talked to her a couple of days ago, season 5, episode 27. One thing she said that really blessed me is as a leader, she tries to be better just 1% every day, not 10%, not 50%, not 100%, just 1%. Just do a little better every day, but be consistent. And before you know it, by the end of the month, the quarter, or the year, you're going to be so much better than you were when the year started because you are a leader. So how do you recover focus when pressure mounts? Because in my opinion, your character really shows not when everything is going well, not when you are making money and flush with cash and things are just rosy. It's when you are challenged, when you are stressed. That's really when the real you comes out. And who is the real you going to be? All right, so authority without clarity becomes liability. All right, leadership lesson number 3. Let's read verses 8 and 9 because leadership is advocacy for the voiceless. Verses 8 and 9.
Open your mouth for the speechless, in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy.
I really believe at a certain point, leadership is not about you, but it is about other people. I think that's how you go from success to significance. I think for most of us, no, I don't think it is selfish and I don't think it's wrong. When you're poor, you don't have anything, just starting life. Yeah, you want to have a certain level of success, right? You want to have enough money to pay your bills, take care of your family and all that. Nothing wrong with that. But at a certain level, though, I believe once you take care of all of your needs, right? Money doesn't mean anything anymore. That's exactly what happened to me about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Right? You already have a car. Now, how many cars do you need? Right? You can have 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. Okay, you can only drive one car at a time. How many houses do you need? You can have 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. You can only live in one house at a time. How many boats are you going to need to have? At a certain level, you're not going to be fulfilled with money and just grabbing things anymore. Right? You're gonna need to start making a change from your personal success to significance, where you start helping other people get success, having other people live on purpose and really find the reason why they were born and start working towards that. Right? I think that is really what is going to satisfy. At least that was true for my own experience. So sometimes it's not about you, but it's about other people. Yes, your need are met, but can you help your community? Can you help a young man, a young woman who's in the situation where you used to be 15, 20 years ago? Can you help somebody who doesn't have the ability to pay you back, who absolutely cannot repay you for your goodness and your mercy? Can you do that? I think that is really leadership, paying it forward, right? Biblical leadership is not neutral. It calls leaders to defend dignity, pursue justice, and use influence to protect the vulnerable. So you might not be affected by injustice, but what are you doing about the people that are being affected in your city, in your state, or in your country, or even around the world? What are you doing about that? Or what can you do? So use your platform to elevate other people, not just yourself. Silence in the face of injustice is still a decision. I know Martin Luther King talked a lot about that. So many people stay quiet during this civil rights movement. A lot of Christian white people, they had a lot of privilege in this country, and they weren't against black getting their civil rights, but they didn't do anything to help. They just kept their mouth shut and just lived their life. Martin Luther King used to say Sunday morning was the most segregated hour in America because we have black churches, we have white churches, everybody goes into their own corner. Definitely not what, for those who read the Bible, what Jesus taught. So sometimes as a leader, you do have to be courageous and you have to take a position. You have to speak up. Even if it's risky, you have to speak up. That's leadership. All right, so who depends on your voice right now? Can you speak for somebody or someone who cannot speak for themselves? Where are you being called to speak with courage? In the US Navy, every sailor knows our three core values: honor, courage, commitment. You have to have courage as a leader in order to stand for what you believe in sometimes. And if it doesn't cost you anything, then maybe it's not courage, really. Just think about it. So leadership is measured by who benefits from your influence. Again, I understand for most people, it's me, myself, and I, and you have to take care of yourself. But once you achieve a certain level of success, I really believe it's your duty, it's your responsibility to help somebody else. And that's what we are all called for. Okay, leadership lesson number 4. Excellence is built through diligence. So we're going to start with verse 10, and that's also where it talks about the virtuous woman. I may talk about marriage a little bit toward the end, but excellence is built through diligence. So if you are looking for a partner right now, I think you need to look for somebody who has an excellent spirit. They don't have to be perfect, Nobody is, but someone who has an excellent spirit, someone who does that 1% better every day, someone who really truly is reflective and wants to be a good person to society. Excellent and diligent, right? That's a very, very important trait, I believe, in a lifelong partner. But it's a great trait for leadership as well. So excellence is built through diligence. Let's read verses 10 through 19.
Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it. From her profits, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good, and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle.
Wow, you see diligence. Again, this is great for a spouse, man or woman, but also for a leader in general. Excellence is built through diligence. The passage really reveals discipline, execution, having an idea and then following through, preparation and initiative. Again, Brian Tracy, one of my dearest mentors, he really taught me that each hour you spend planning is going to save you up to 10 hours of execution. You have to measure twice and cut only once, right? That is diligence. That is preparation. And Oprah said, success is when preparation meets opportunity. You have to be prepared before the opportunity comes, because once the opportunity is here, it's too late to prepare. All right. Leadership. And those are really the type of characteristic I believe you need to be looking for in a marriage. I know they say about 50% of people who get married, they end up in a divorce. But one thing you need to be looking for before you say I do, I believe, is to find a person of integrity. They don't have to be perfect, but they need to have a mind, I want to get better, I want to add value. I think that is so critical. And it has to be cultivated daily. All right. So lead with intentional effort, right? High standard combined with consistency produce trust and result. Another one of my mentor, Darren Hardy, and I highly recommend this number one New York Times bestselling book, The Compound Effect. Jumpstart your income, your life, and your success. Darren Hardy talks about the difference between those who are successful and those who are not. Really, as human beings, we are all the same. But the big difference is successful people do what they need to do when they need to do it, whether they feel like it or not. Because people are not so successful, they know what they need to do, they know when they need to do it, but they should say, I am lazy. Oh, I do it tomorrow. Oh, I do it another time. But successful people, even though they are lazy too, even though they don't want to do it, they're going to force themselves to do it, whether they feel like it or not. Execution, diligence, so important. Okay, so what routine reinforces excellence in your leadership? During my podcast, when I interview a lot of illustrious leaders, toward the end, I ask them, what is a leadership discipline that you cannot stop, that you will never compromise on? So important. Because in life, if you want to be a great leader, you do have to be consistent. So where could discipline replace chaos? Because sustainable leadership is built through daily faithfulness, not burst of intensity. Right? Because again, if you want to lose weight, it's not like, okay, I'm not going to eat junk food for this one day. Oh, I'm good. No. You have to do it day after day after day after day after day. You have to do it consistently for a long time. That's when you start having results. But the problem with most people is when they get to the point where they're about to get great results, they just give up. Now, same thing with working out, right? You work out every day, good, you're making progress, and then all of a sudden you are tired. Most people, they no, New Year's resolution, they want to lose weight, they want to get in the gym and get fit. They maybe start for the first week, the second week, and by the third week, 90% of people, they completely abandon their resolution. They give up. Just at the point where they're starting to see the result of their workout, they give up. Consistency, sustainable leadership, that is very important. It's really about your character. All right, leadership lesson number 5. Vision, expand, impact. Again, if we're talking about marriage, you want to marry a person, a man and a woman of vision, right? For example, in my own experience, I wasn't wealthy when we first got married, 24 years ago, almost 25 years ago, but I had that potential. I had vision, and I believe my wife did see that. And that's another reason why I know for sure that Dimitri Brown-Zinga doesn't love me for my money, because I didn't have any money when we met. She loves me for who I am. And that's really the best place anybody can be. So I don't have to worry about that part of my life anymore. Now I can focus on my mission, on my work, my career, and my purpose. It's really liberating. But you need to marry somebody who has vision, because that's where impact comes from. Vision, expand, impact. And if you're going to follow a leader, you need to follow a leader who has vision. So let's read verses 20 through 24. Vision and impact.
She extends her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies sashes for the merchants.
Wow. A virtuous woman. Again, she's not perfect, but she is excellent. She has the spirit of excellency. She has vision. Leadership with vision, because vision expands impact. Effective leaders balance compassion with enterprise. They see beyond today and build systems that multiply impact. Another thing that Brian Tracy taught me was that long-term perspective. People who are extremely successful, they don't just think about today and now. They're not like microwave people. They think about long-term. What am I going to achieve? Not today, but in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now. So the decisions I am making today are going to impact what I'm going to accomplish many, many, many years down the line. Long-term perspective. If your perspective is just for this second, for this minute, for today, you are not going to go very far. But if you have a long-term plan and the decision that you make, whether you say yes or no to an opportunity is based on what you are trying to accomplish 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, you are going to go very, very, very far. That is so powerful. Again, I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress this upon you, because throughout my life, I've seen this occur over and over again, right? When I started in the IT field back in 1997, right, more than 28 years ago, I was a computer technician assistant, right? Entry-level position, making minimum wage. Back then, I think it was $4.25, I think, an hour. When I started working full-time, I was making no more than $15,000, $17,000 for an entire year. But it's where I needed to start. But that's not where I wanted to stay for the rest of my life. I knew I had a great vision. One day, I will be at the very, very top of my field. Now, it took a very, very long time for me to go from being a computer technician to eventually being an IT executive, and of all places in Silicon Valley. It took a very, very, very long time, but I had that in my mind. That was my vision. That's where I'm going to end. I may be here today, that's okay, but I am going somewhere. So the decision I am making, what I'm going to do with my free time, when I'm going to study, what I'm going to learn, certification I'm going to go for, going back to school to get a MBA, to get a Master of Science, all of those things is because I had an idea of where I wanted to go, and those things would help me get there. Okay? Vision. Long-term perspective. Same thing in the military. I joined the military after 9/11, 2004. Because I wasn't a US citizen, I couldn't be an officer even though I had a degree. And then even though I was a manager, they could have put me as an E4, PD officer, third class, where at least you have some positional authority. But even that, I couldn't do because I was not a US citizen. I couldn't earn a security clearance at the time. So I couldn't even have a secret clearance. So I had absolutely no clearance. So the only way for me to get into the Navy was to start at the very, very bottom, E1, seaman recruit. So that's where I started. Now, I wasn't going to stay there for the rest of my life, but that's where I had to start. So when I went to boot camp the following year, 2005, during that summer, I made up my mind I will even become a chief. So a senior enlisted member or a senior officer, O5 commander, which is exactly what I ended up being. But again, you start at very, very bottom and then you get to the top, right? Why? Because you have vision. You have that long-term perspective. So what do I need to do in order to become eligible to become a petty officer third class? So I have at least a secret clearance. You have to be a US citizen. So I went through the process. I became a US citizen. So then I took the exam. I went from seaman to IT3, right? So I'm making progress. And then once I became a US citizen, they told me I couldn't be an officer and I couldn't have a clearance because I was not a citizen of the United States. Now I am a citizen of the United States. So I went back to the recruiter. What do I need to do in order to become an officer? Then I went through the process. It took about a year and a half. You have to be patient. But then I became an ensign in the US Navy, right, in the information professional community. And then it took me another, 15 years or so, and I eventually became a commander. Today, I am Commander Bob Fabian Zinga in the most powerful Navy in the world. Again, I am not saying all of this to impress you, but to impress upon you the importance of that leadership principle, long-term perspective, making decisions today that are going to affect your future 15, 20 years down the line. Wow. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen if you are consistent, if you have a plan, if you have a vision and you keep working your plan. Very, very, very powerful. Okay. So see beyond today and build systems that multiply your impact. Think long term, right? Not just today and tomorrow, long term. Build solutions that serve people while sustaining the mission, because that's going to build your legacy. So how does your leadership create opportunity for other people? And what system are you building that will outlast you? Because visionary leadership blends purpose and practicality. I believe execution is everything. And I think the way you are able to manage your time, your resources, your energy is to say no to anything that comes to you that is not aligned with your plan, with your goals, with your purpose. If it's aligned with it, that's what you do. If it's not, it may be good, but that's just not for you. That's for somebody else. So you really have to forcefully, right, extremely prioritize your time, your energy, what you are available to do. Powerful lesson. Okay, leadership lesson number 6. We are almost done. Character is the leader's greatest asset, your character. Let's read verses 25, 26, and 27. Character is your greatest asset.
Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness.
Wow. We're talking about character. When it comes to marriage too, when you're going to be choosing your partner, make sure they are people of character. If somebody is lying to you right now, you are not even married, they're going to lie to you when you get married. If they are cheating on you right now, you are just engaged, they're going to cheat on you when you get married too. Character. When you see those red flags, do not ignore them. When you see a flaw in somebody's character, absolutely do not ignore that, because that's a sign of things to come. Don't think, oh, I am so wonderful, I'm going to change them. No, you cannot change anybody. The only person you can change is yourself. Character is a leader's greatest asset. If somebody doesn't have character, do not get involved with them. I'd rather lose money than deal with somebody who has no character. Because if they are lying on somebody else, they are cheating on somebody else, eventually they are going to lie and cheat on you. Because at the basic level, I believe that people are the same no matter what. We are who we are, right? And when somebody shows you who they are, Oprah said that, and I think she learned it from her mentor. When people show you who they are, believe them. Don't ignore it. Believe them. And then make up your decision what you are going to do. Okay, so when it comes to leaders, again, character is key because reputation follows character. And strength and dignity are not situational. They are won daily through consistent value. That's why the best leaders, they may have very, very high standard, but they are fair, they are consistent, they are people of character, honor, integrity. Again, the three values in the US Navy for every sailor: honor, courage, commitment. For the 250 years that the Navy has been around, every sailor, that's our core value: honor, courage, and commitment. Honor, character. Wow. So live in alignment with your core value, who you are. Who you are when no one is watching will define who you become when everyone is watching. So does your private life reinforces your public leadership or persona? And what virtues define your leadership brand? Everybody has a brand. Again, we talked to Alison Walsh, but we talked to many other people too on my podcast, and she's a brand builder. She says everybody has a brand, and you have to be conscious of what your brand is. What is your reputation? What are you saying to the world when you have your mouth shut? What are you saying with your action? What are you saying by the way you act, by the way you treat people? Because character sustains leaders long after titles fade. Again, one of my newest, dearest mentor, General Milford Beagle, told me that during our interview, season 4, episode 121, right? He said that rank is rented, but trust is earned. Whatever position you have right now, you're not going to have the position for the rest of your life. But time will come in the Navy. I am a commander now. The Navy is going to say, okay, time is up. Commander Zinga, we don't need you anymore. We're going to force you to retire. Or something might happen, I might resign or whatever. But whatever position you have now, it's not going to be your position for the rest of your life. No, it is only for a specific, a short period of time. But if you want trust, you have to earn it. Okay? Character sustain leaders long after titles fade, and your title will eventually fade. Okay, this is the last lesson, and then we are going to have a very special guest. Leadership lesson number 7. Legacy is the final measure of leadership. So I'm going to have a bonus lesson for you as well. But lesson 7 is supposed to be the last lesson for Proverbs chapter 31. Legacy is the final measure of leadership. So verses 28, 29, and 30. Legacy is the final measure of leadership. Here we go.
Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is passing. But a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Wow, let her own work praise her in the gate. You don't have to say anything. Your work will speak for you. What do people say when you are not in the room? Legacy is the final measure of leadership. Legacy is not self-proclaimed. It is conferred by those impacted by your leadership. Just like humility, right? Technically, the moment you say you are humble, you are no longer humble, right? Shut your big mouth and let your work speak for itself. Let your reputation precede you. That's legacy. That's leadership. It is conferred by those impacted by your leadership, the people that you influence. The people who want to follow you, not because of your title, but because of who you are, because they like you, because they want to follow you. That's leadership. Results matter, but relationship reveal the truth. So how do we apply this? Lead in ways that those closest to you are proud of, and let your work speak louder than your words. This is another thing. The way I define success today, there are many ways of defining it. When I was much younger, maybe it was going after getting a good position, having diploma, certification, education, and all of that. But at a certain level, the way I define success now, and it's been very much impacted by my primary mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, it's really the way the people closest to me feel about me. That's really success. I don't really care what the world out there says. When I look in the eyes of my wife, if she can look at me and she's proud of me as a man, regardless of what's happening out there, then I am successful. Those closest to me, how are they impacted by what I do, by the person I become? That is true success. Because I can have everything else in the world, but if I don't have that with my wife, with my children, people who know me best and love me the most, then it's completely a use of time, a big, big waste of time. So that is really what success means to me today. I think the people closest to me be prouder than everybody else about the person I am becoming. All right, so we are going to have a very, very special guest in just a couple of minutes. So if your leadership ended today, what would remain? And who is better because you led them? Leadership success is measured in life change, not applause received. It's the impact you are having on people. Now, we're going to have our bonus leadership lesson right now. So we're going to talk about, again, marriage, relationship, because I think that is important, right? By the grace of God, I've been married 24 years now, and we're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary this year in July. I can't hardly wait. It's been, a quarter of a century that I've been married now. That is really, truly a blessing, especially for people who are in the military. So I think the right partner will multiply your leadership. Let's go back to verse 10. That's probably one of the most important verses, I think, in Proverbs chapter 31. Again, this is my bonus lesson. This is the last time I'm going to be talking about the book of Proverbs, so I may as well share that. Let's go back to verse 10. I read
Who
it earlier.
can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies.
Her worth is far above rubies. I hope you don't get married for money. I hope you get married for love. And I hope you get married with a person who's virtuous, a person of character, a person who has a vision. That's really my hope. And that's the type of person I was looking for. Because verse 10 really opens up with a virtuous woman with a question. Not because such a partner is impossible to find, but because their value is immeasurable. I'd rather be poor and be with my Dimitriov than have all of the money in the world and be with a person who is not moving in the direction my life is moving. Because beauty eventually will fade. The way people look, they're not going to look that way in 50 years. I guarantee you that. So if that's all you are going for, your marriage is going to be short-lived. Maybe that's why some men decide to get divorced and get married with a younger model or whatever. But that's not happiness. That is not fulfillment. That's not what I want. Okay. You need to find a person, a woman, whose value is immeasurable, more costly than gold or silver, a person of character. The Hebrew concept behind virtue speaks to strength, a person with strength, moral courage, trustworthy. Can I trust that person? Excellence of character. For leaders, this verse really reminds us that success is not achieved in isolation, right? The right partner does not compete with the mission, but they strengthen the leader. They stabilize the home and safeguard the future. Whenever I go on active duty, whether it's for a couple of weeks or a year or longer, I don't have to worry about my kids. I don't have to worry about my home because I have a partner who takes care of it. She's got my back. That gives me peace of mind. Wow. Character, virtue. So a virtuous partner will multiply clarity, reinforces integrity, and provide unwavering support through seasons of scarcity, sacrifice, and success. The kind of person who's going to stay with you when you lose all of your money and all of your wealth. Character. For better or for worse, in sickness or in health. Character. Wow. Okay, I'm not going to get him emotional or cry, but what I'm going to say is many leadership failures are not rooted in lack of talent. It's not about the talent. Because your talent can open doors for you, but I believe your character is going to keep you there. But in misalignment at home. Are you the happiest when you are home? Are you the happiest when you are with the people who love you the most? So choose a life partner with the same intentionality you choose your values. Because I believe, and I always knew a life partner would either make me or break me. No, they usually say behind every successful man there is a strong woman, and I believe that is so true. That partner you have for life will either make you or break you. So look beyond appearances, status, or convenience, but seek character, faithfulness, resilience, shared purpose, shared value. The right partner will speak truth when it's uncomfortable, stand firm when pressure rises, and celebrate your calling without losing their own identity. So, does your closest relationship strengthen or strain your leadership? And if you've seen so many red flags with whatever person you are with right now, why are you still with them? Another thing one of my mentors said, I thought it was kind of funny, but it's quite insightful. Um, Dr. Mike Murdoch says, if you are a woman and your husband beats you, if you stay with them, then you qualify for your next beating. Something like that. But basically, when people show you who they truly are, you absolutely have to trust them. And hopefully, you know who they are at their core before you say, I do, before you get married, especially before you start having children, because that really complicates things exponentially. So, does your closest relationship strengthen or strain your leadership? The people you are around, do they increase your energy or they weaken you? How do they make you feel? Do you feel energized and strong and happy and loved and accepted? Or do you feel completely drained when you are around them? Maybe that's a sign that you shouldn't be around those people anymore. Because you choose who your friends are, you choose who your closest relationships are. Jim Rohn says you are the average of the 5 closest people to you. So, are your values aligned at home and in public? And what character traits matter most in a lifelong partner? And do you embody them yourself? A leader's greatest asset may not be their strategy, their title, or their network, or their net worth, but the partner who walks beside them with integrity, with wisdom, and unwavering commitment. I am committed to you for life, no matter what. All right. That's what I have. I'm going to have a very, very special guest for you. Before I bring her in, I want to get the advice I received again from my mentor, General Milford Beagle, about his marriage. He's been married more than 34 years now. That's a long time. Like I said, we are been married almost 35 years. And I also brought in a marriage coach to the Leadership and Success podcast. That was Dr. Lee Bockham. PhD, architect of thriving relationship, and there's a serial best-selling author, Thriving Under Pressure. You should watch it, season 5, episode 20. You really gave a lot of great insight about marriage. So for now, let's listen to what General Biggs has to say about the success of his marriage. Thank you, sir. So we are about to land this plan. Before I ask you the last set of questions, is there a question I should have asked you, sir, that I didn't get to ask? Any question you wanted to answer on this podcast?
No, you have a lot. You've asked a lot. We've covered a lot of ground. Right
Yes, sir.
now, I can't think of a single thing that I don't think you did ask. But you did. You know what? You did it in the green room, and it was about marriage. And
Yes.
my wife, my lovely bride, and I
Yes,
were married
yes,
34 years. And
34 years.
you asked me a question
Yes.
then, and you said, "What's the secret?" And I don't. Everybody has their own secret. I don't think there is a particular secret, but one thing is, it's about compromise. You know, in any relationship, you know, with your significant other, your spouse, it's always about compromise, and never forget the point of it's 2 imperfect people striving for perfection. And to this day, my wife, she'll look at me and say, "Well, you know I'm bossy. You knew that when you married me." And
Yes.
it's a problem. I mean, you know, but it's 2 imperfect people striving for perfection. So I think 34
Wow.
years and hopefully another 34 plus more, we're going to continue to strive for that perfection. And that's what's kept us together.
Well, that is really wonderful, especially in the military, because I don't know how many special occasions I've missed because I was called out on active duty. But having the same spouse after 30 plus years of active service, I mean, that's really a miracle, because the truth is, after you get all of the accolade, all of the stars, and you are done with your career, and it is time for you to go back home, right? If you don't have a home to go back to, I really don't think that you are successful. Going back to your definition of success, sir, regardless of whatever. All right, so please, if when you get time, watch that episode, season 5. season 4, episode 121. That was last year. So now I'm going to bring you a very special guest. Before I do, let me read a poem I actually wrote yesterday. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here, but I told my life partner, when first we pledge our vows, my pockets bare, you saw not lack, but promise yet unseen. Through nights unsure and burdens we would share, you stood, my truth, my strength, my calm between. Through thick and thin, when storms would test our way, you were the rock that held our world in place. For Zoe's dream and Naomi's brightened day, you built a home with love, resolve, and grace. Phenomenal woman, faithful, kind, and true. Your beauty shines from death, no time can dim. Compassion lives in all you say and do, a constant light. When days go hard or grim, we've gone through that. I know this truth. As sure as stars above, my life is all because you chose my love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, the Leadership and Success Podcast, please help welcome my love, my rock, my partner, the one and only Dimitra Brown Zinga. All right, Dimitra, thank you for being here. What do you have to say?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe I'm here finally. Thank you for the beautiful poem again. That was lovely. So don't start me crying. Crying too much. No, but thank you for having me on. And yeah, I've been enjoying the last hour or so of all your leadership concepts, and it's been really good. I love everything you've been talking about clarity and authority and helping other people find their purpose as you're finding yours. So, like, lots of good stuff here, good nuggets, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for helping me remain grounded. And yeah, I couldn't do life without you. Like I've told you many times before, if you ever decide to leave me, we're going to leave me together because it's impossible for me to stay alive without your love. So thank you for everything. All right. I know we don't want to keep you long. Anything else you want to share with the audience before you say goodbye?
No, I'm just like really happy to be here and my first time on your show. Um, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's lots of great stuff here. Lots of nuggets to like feed on. This is not something that you can just kind of pop in and then leave. Like it actually, you take it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So good teaching, keep doing it. I've seen your integrity. I've seen a lot of the things you talked about today, like growth and diligence. This is what you do. Like you practice everything that you're talking about here. You get up every morning, you do this religiously every single day without fail. And it's just a testament to if you put your mind to it, you know, you can do it. And you've encouraged me to be confident in doing what I'm doing. So
Thank you. Maybe for those who are watching who might be in a relationship thinking about marriage, what's your advice for them about finding the right partner for life? Now, as you know, 50% of marriages end up in a divorce in this country. And when we got married, no, it's not really interracial, although some people thought it was, but me from Africa, you from the US, two different countries, different culture coming together again. We've been married for almost 25 years. That's a long, long time. What would you encourage to the people looking forward to maybe finding a lifetime
yeah.
partner?
Practice discernment, and that just means have your spidey senses up if need, and just really be intuitive, be in tune with what your gut check is telling you. That's really important. And if you're a person of prayer, spiritual person, pray. Make sure that you kind of get that green light before you move forward, because beyond all the flutteries and all of the butterflies, there is the work of marriage, and
Yes.
that is a long-term commitment. And so you have to really, really want to be in a committed relationship, to have someone that loves you, but that you also love. It's a two-way street. And so I think it's really important that I think in today's society, especially when people are just looking for convenience, but it's really important to look at marriage as a commitment on both sides.
Mm.
And so just really stay in discernment, stay in prayer, and don't just look at how you feel now, but look
Yes.
at the future of that commitment you're making with the other person.
That is so powerful. When did you know that I was the right partner for you? If you want to share it, if not, that's okay.
Yeah, I think you and I both kind of discovered that together, right? We had our little test that we,
Yes,
yeah,
I have my own version, but your version is
and I
better.
have
Yes,
my
please.
version. Yeah, I think it was prayer. It was also just observing the elements in my life, right? People around you will let you know. So
Yes.
you have loved ones, family, friends, and just those
Yeah.
words, and you kind of get a feel for if this is right or not. And it just felt right. And I knew it was right because so
Yes.
many things were in alignment and were falling into place. So I didn't question whether or not you were the right one. Like it just was kind of like that discernment. Like I knew that I would spend my life with you. So,
Wow.
but
Thank you.
there's more to that
So
story.
honored that, yeah. Okay, last question. I'm gonna have to let you go for those who are already married. So we've been married almost 25 years in July. Different background, we grew up in different country, different continent, separate life, and now the two coming together and living this wonderful life together. What do you think is the secret of our marriage? Why have we lasted so long? Almost a quarter of a century, you think?
I really think the deepest shared interests. So there's the concentric circle, right? You have shared interests. We have a lot of things that we do that are similar, but
Mhm.
it goes far deeper than that. And I think that's where we're spiritually compatible. I think that is what has kept us together all these years because at the core of everything, there's, our shared faith that has drawn everything else in our lives closer together.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's what it is.
What a great honor to have you for the very first time. I've been trying to get you on this platform for a long, long time. So, my love, and I am so, so proud to be your husband. So,
Oh,
I am
thank
Dimitria's husband, everyone. And thank you, love you, and
you.
see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So hopefully this was a great bonus for you. Didn't quite plan this, but I think it is quite important. So I'm hoping this adds value to you. And again, this lesson, you can listen to them over and over again. Today's lesson will be uploaded on all of the major podcast platform, probably by the end of today. So after today, you're going to have access to lesson 1 through lesson 31, the book of Proverbs. Each one has 7 lessons, except for 2. This one has a bonus 8 lesson. But there was also another one where I had 2 bonus lesson as well. Again, I'm hoping to add value to you. So to close down this chapter, Proverbs chapter 31. So this chapter really closes the book of wisdom by reminding us that leadership is not a role, right? It's not a role you play. It is a responsibility lived out daily. Another one that I interviewed, Billy Jones, global CIO, he taught us that leadership is responsibility, something you have to do whether you feel like it or not. It's your responsibility every single day, consistency, right? It calls leaders to restraint, to justice, to diligence, to compassion, to strength, and enduring character. That's really the foundation it's all based on. The final chapter of Proverbs does not end with power, but with praise earned through faithful service. I think you will be great by serving others. That's where I believe the source of greatness is. You are great not because people praise you, but it's because you serve people. That is what makes you great. All right. So now, as a big closing, again, this is the very end of this special edition of the Leadership and Success podcast. We went through the book of Proverbs for ancient wisdom. We've been mentored by it every single chapter. Again, not a religious study, but really a study to find wisdom and leadership lesson. So this book of Proverbs closes not with a command or a conquest or a crown, but with character. From the opening call to fear the Lord in chapter 1 to the portrait of a life well lived in chapter 31, Proverbs reveal a simple yet demanding truth. Wisdom is not learned in moments, It is forged through daily choices. You have to make the choice to lead every single day. You have to make the choice to do the right thing every single day, not just once in a while, but every day, every opportunity. Because leadership in God's economy is not about charisma or control. It's not about your talent, but about discipline, discernment, humility, justice, and faithfulness over time. Brian Tracy is another one of my mentors who told me many times someone who is disciplined, who is consistent, who is diligent will run circle around someone who is extremely talented. Because sometimes people who are very, very talented, high IQ, they're kind of lazy like everybody else. But if you build your character and you are disciplined, you wake up before everybody else, you go to sleep after everybody else, you work while you are working, you are diligent, you add value consistently, not just for one day, not just for a week, but over and over and over again, eventually you are going to surpass the people who have a lot more intelligence, who have a lot more talent and skills. Because those skills, you can learn them. But character, if you don't have it, nobody can really teach you that. Okay. So Proverb teaches us that every path has a price. Every decision shapes direction, and every habit becomes destiny. So it's what you think, how you feel, what you do, and then that's going to affect your path, your destiny. It reminds us that integrity is built privately before it is tested publicly. It shows us that words can heal or they can destroy. Pride isolates, humility invites counsel. And self-governance is the foundation of governing others. You have to govern yourself first. You have to lead with humility. That's the number one lesson I learned when I was really blessed and privileged to be the commanding officer of the Global Network Operations Security Center for the entire U.S. Navy in Suffolk, Virginia. What a privilege that was. And I had to lead not with pride, boastfulness, but with humility. Across its 31 chapters, Proverbs mentors leaders in the ordinary moments where legacies are quietly formed. How we listen, how we speak, work, love, manage anger, steward resources, choose friends, honor commitment, and work with God. Wisdom, we learn, is not theoretical, but it is practical. Righteousness lived out in real relationships and real responsibility. Again, in the Navy, I learned about leadership. It's about confidence, it's about competence, but it's also about connection, the three C's of leadership. And in its final chapter, Proverbs leaves us with a vision, not of perfection, nobody is perfect, but of faithfulness, of excellence, of diligence. A life marked by diligence, compassion, strength, restraint, justice, and reverence for God and man. A reminder that the highest form of leadership is service, and the truest measure of success is the good we leave behind in others. Long after you are gone, that is going to be your legacy, the effect you had on people. Proverb does not promise an easy road, but it charts a trustworthy one. So it's not easy, but it is simple, though. It's not easy, but it is simple. And you just have to put it into practice every day, every day. And you're not always going to be successful. We are human. To err is human. You're going to make mistakes. But when you fall, you get back up again. And you keep walking your walk. Anything that's aligned with where you are going with your vision, that's what you do. And if it's not aligned, that's none of your business. You want to keep your focus. Because if you are focused again, you're going to do a lot more than someone who has a lot of talent but who's distracted. You're going to run circles around them. Keep focus. Lead. Lead yourself first. Govern yourself, and then you're going to be able to lead others well. Okay, so for those willing to walk it daily, wisdom becomes not just guidance for leadership, but a companion for life. All right, I hope this special edition of the Leadership and Success podcast has blessed you. That's everything I wanted to share with you. Again, let me know in the chat what you got out of it. Your 3 to 5 highlight from Proverbs chapter 31, and then also for the entire book of Proverbs. The replay will be immediately available on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and it should be available on all of the major podcast platforms by the end of today. Thanks again for trusting me to teach you what I know, what I've lived, and share with you from the book of Proverbs. Again, this was not religious, but about leadership lessons and ancient wisdom, how we can still apply those same lessons today, and I believe live our life with impact. Okay, this is it. Thank you so much for being with us today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.